Welcome to the Host African, where we discuss web hosting and how it relates to business, the individual, and its general role in society. I'm Ashwin, your host, and in today's episode, we have Piwe Kuzwayo, software dev, IT technician, founder, innovator, and freshly minted president of JCI. Piwe, how do you do?
Uh, thank you, Steve. I'm good. I'm good. I'm well. Just recovering from the weekend. I was in Joburg over the weekend, whereby I was invited by Geek Culture, where they hosted a 3-day hackathon from Friday until Sunday. So I was invited there as a mentor. 2 days of mentoring tech gurus, without resting and sleeping. I only came back Monday night and I took a day off yesterday, but ended up joining like 3 sessions. I had like back-to-back meetings, although it was my leave day. But other than that, I'm good, excited also to be here in the podcast hosting Africans. Yeah, I'm so excited.
Okay, no, that's good, man. I'm glad. Actually talking about this hackathon now. The what does the future look like based on your experience at the event? Do you feel it's promising? Do you feel we further behind than what you thought, or we further ahead than what you thought? Like, what's the sense you get after being there?
So, firstly, let me start by saying hackathons for me, I view them as a university which brings reality because you'll find different stakeholders will be coming in, looking for solutions, right? And then like upcoming software devs, like everyone within the tech space, are required to utilize their skills in developing solutions that are sustainable. That's number one. So with us South Africans in general, the future is promising. That's the first thing I would say, and I'll give it to everyone who's in the tech space. But what is lacking is the business model of things. That's a crucial part, especially like you software developers. They like to lock themselves in dark rooms. They work and develop solutions and so on. But then how do you then go out from your back room, from your dark room, now taking your solution or your innovation for everyone else to be able to utilize it? So understanding whatever you do or whatever you develop as a human being or as a software developer, it needs to go out there into business, but be also sustainable. That's a critical part. So this is why you'll find there are mentors within Hackathon, because mostly our duty is to direct every innovation or every solution to bring it into business, basically, and also understanding that whatever solution that you come up with is not your solution, basically. It's for the people to utilize your solution with your critical thinking as well. So mostly what other people lack, it's what we call design thinking. So this is the most important thing that we always emphasize in hackathon. It's first you to go through design thinking, understanding how is the tech world is going, what is trending, and also the evolution within the tech space. And also you have to do a research. You have to do a research. You cannot always come and mimic what has been done before. If we are doing that, have that uniqueness. That's what I always preach. Innovation is an innovation that will be unique. So innovators, they need to come up with uniqueness into their solutions. Now this will bring innovation to life. So yeah, but the future is promising, I must say. And I think it's amazing to see young individuals being dedicated. Not easy to spend 2 days with no rest, coding more than 36 hours of code. It can be overwhelming, but it's a good initiative. It's a good experience as well. Tears are shed. I always say if I don't see any tear in the hackathon, this is not a hackathon. Unless I see tears, like yeah, now we're in a proper hackathon. So yeah, it's a good initiative. That's the most foundations are doing, businesses are doing, just to introduce especially like students, because the solutions are mostly in the real world, in the real working environment, So hence hackathons are the, it's not just about the prize, it's a learning experience. So yeah, the future looks promising, say.
I mean, I think that's some pretty good context to understand what how it all goes down at a hackathon, or at least what your approach to it is. Because I mean, what I'm kind of taking from that is that there's not so much a skill issue or a lack of skill, but just understanding how to marry maybe the business aspect of your idea or of your innovation to what you actually create or develop.
True, true, definitely. Because Africans, we have skills for days, that I could say. We have great skills. We are equipped because now we are being exposed into the tech industry. We have all the resources that are required. Yes, some of them will require funds for you to be able to utilize those sources, but the skills Africans we have, that I must say. Now it's the matter of, like I was just mentioned, how to then put it for business purposes. So that's the only niche that's needed to be sorted out. Taking every innovation and put it out there for business purposes. This is the only thing that is required now, where then we can then now say, how do we invite government to also come on board in training the youth. Now South Africa will become like a digitalized country. How Cape Town can be digitalized, how Durban, Gauteng can be digitalized, because solutions are there and they are amazing. It's just the matter of how do we position them correctly for business purposes.
Okay, right. I just want to take it back a step, just to maybe give our listeners some context, to, because I mean I just realized we jumped straight into your being a mentor at the hackathon, and so they must be thinking who's this guy, who's mentoring
Yeah,
at
yeah.
hackathons. The do you mind giving us a brief background of your journey to from where you started to where you are now?
I was being introduced. So, firstly, I grew up in a township called Guamashu, between Guamashu and Newlands West. Currently reside in Westville, right? I'm a Durbanite. So, I attended public schools. I was privileged to attend public schools. I went to UKZN. First studied geology. I couldn't complete it. I did only a year and a half, and I was like, "Ish, this thing is killing me," with the lack of knowledge and understanding what is trending, what is out there for you. So I went and studied geology in 2013, but I was introduced in computer literacy in 2009 by my brother, who was a software dev for Telkom, right? So I usually like to play games with his computer, and then he'll make me to type his novels and poems in order for me to be able to play games. So this is where I was introduced in how to use a computer. So I tried to be very smart, because I was able to get his password. So if he's not around, I would jump into into his PC. So this is where I started like to develop like a understanding of using a computer, like basically shapes and so on. And then from there, after I couldn't complete my geology in UKZN, I did a information system, just a basic introduction to technology. I did that at Mangosu too, and then I went on, and I was a technician at Elangeni College for like 2 to 3 years. The contracts ended, so I was a tech guy, troubleshooting, servers and so on, just like maintenance. Within the college. Then from there, the contracts ended. I opened what I call SK Computers, where I do computer repair and desktop support. You know, After that, COVID hit. I already had offices in Smith Street here around Durban, but COVID hit. Uh, I couldn't survive. Then after COVID, I was lucky enough. I was like, okay, let me go back and start. I'm still young, there's no need for me to try now and rush. do other things that I'm not passionate about, So I went back, trying to study, There's another thing. It's trying to study in tech, whatever qualification that you wanna go into, it is expensive, that I must say. Because I remember I tried to apply in one of the private colleges, and it was around about 85,000 some change. 85,000 for me to study software engineering. I was like, ish, this is too much. Just 1 year, this is too much. So lucky enough, I there was within code. I got to within code, so I'm a within code alumni. So that is where I pursued my software engineering. But while I was at within code, I was still also studying Microsoft tools on the side. So that's how I equipped myself doing Microsoft tools while pursuing a software engineering as within code. So this is where I became SK, uh, understanding how does the tech industry work, and also how to then become a leader within the tech space, because I'm involved in many initiatives. I've established many companies as well. Others worked, others didn't work. You know, I'm co-founding, in a lot of ideas and initiative around guys that were like, okay, SK, can we do this? Okay, now we can do this. So I've became someone now who's leading bit by bit in the tech space because of the willingness to learn mindset and being passionate within the tech space. Mainly because here in Durban, specifically, people are working in silos. We have people who are from within tech space, but they're working in silos. So what we're trying to advocate is how can we then now come together and collaborate to make sure that we're going to have tech industry is big. You cannot alone, you cannot, but with collaboration, you can. So hence, while as within code, I was able to get a job without me finishing within code. I graduated, I already had a job. So I graduated, I already had a job at Go Digital SA Foundation. Uh, yeah, so I was noted amongst others who were also within the tech space. Also, I think with SK Computers on the side, and they went on and founded what I call Great Minds, where now we are going back to high school learners, your grade 11 and 12, in upskilling them with your mathematics, your physics, because those are crucial and critical subjects as well, especially for the ones who are coming from the unprivileged schools. So that's how I found myself being currently the SK. People that are now like, hey, SK, was calling me on the side, SK, everyone SK, because I try and position myself. I try and put my name out there to help one another and also to learn as well. My belief is very simple. I just want to learn. Currently, it's a cybersecurity month. I'm learning what is cybersecurity. I know the basics, but I'm learning, going deep into cybersecurity because I want to be an all-rounder. I want to understand how the tech industry works. It might be too much sometimes, but I don't think there's anyone who can beat a willing to learn mindset. This is my belief. So that's how I came about developing love for being in the tech industry. It's not easy, but one is getting there slowly but surely.
Well, I mean, based on where you are now, I think you definitely made like leaps and bounds of progress. I mean, starting out what playing games on your brother's computer, and I know you mentioned in when you gave us background information on yourself that you kind of helped the guys at high school as well, even though you didn't do computer applications, and I was like, wow, this guy's it must have a natural knack for it, you know. So so yeah, and I mean, like, just listening to all your accolades and like the journey that you've been on, like I think it's, I mean, like you mentioned, it started then, but it sounds like everything you kind of did, even though I mean, if you take it as single events, it sounds like it's just something on its own, but it all kind of fit together to kind of like bring you where you are now, essentially.
True, true. So yes, I forgot to mention that I had friends who were like above my grade from high school. So I remember it was Mr. Ngubane who was teaching computer applications in high school. So they usually call me like, hey, where's Piwe? So they'll call me. I will help you guys with their Office 365, because that's what cats all mostly like relies on. So I will come and assist people who are doing like your grade 11 and 12 while I was still in grade 10 and I was not doing cats, but I will come in to assist them and say, okay guys, this is how this thing work, even in admin because mostly, but now I think now our educators now they are well equipped. Now they understand technology, how does it work, and everything else. So I'll usually come in to assist, especially when exams times approach. So I'll be their tech guy, if people are finding issues and so on. Because I believe and understand if you wanna be equipped with the skills in the technological space, it's not in paper. It's all about practice. It's all about practice. Because now, if you're going to just technology, you can't just take a paper and just read. You can't just read code. You have to do code, you know. So yeah, I was one of those guys in my high school. That's where we would be called to assist, But like, hey guys, I'm just doing geography, mathematics, and physics. So got nothing to do with computer applications. But because I had the skill at that time to assist others, I was like, why not? So ended up my geography teacher, most of the things in grade 11 and 12, I remember, we'll go to a computer lab and then we'll just do question papers and then we'll project and so we'll end up utilizing a computer lab in us learning geography. So yeah, that's how we ended up doing in my school.
I mean, it's the I'm just thinking. I doubt you from high school would have thought that you'd be doing tech full time. Since I mean, you did geography and then obviously went into geology, so kind of connected, and then I mean, complete 180 from that now. But I mean, starting out using computers like in high school and your brother's device or PC, typing stuff for him, like it sounds like simple beginnings basically. I mean, and then obviously went on to be a IT technician. It's my question is basically, can people follow the same formula and develop proficiency by doing like simple tasks, like just typing out documents and playing games just to get familiar? Is that something that works, or is would you suggest something more formal?
So it does work. You know why? Firstly, while utilizing like the basic, how to open up a computer, how to utilize Office 365, typing in, you gain confidence, right? It's about gaining confidence because most of us coming from township areas, rural areas, we are not exposed to such devices, right? So you firstly need to gain confidence. Once you've gained confidence, like, okay, now what exactly is going on in this space, you know? Then you start to do a research. Okay, this I can do because I happen to understand now in and out of a computer. And then now, what is a CMOS battery? How to troubleshoot a hard drive? How to install Windows? How to install Office 365? Then the third is like, okay, I can change a hard drive now. You know, I can change a RAM now. How to set up a RAM and so on and so on. From there, I was like, okay, there is a career out of tech space. But now the problem I had, why I went to geology, I was like, ish, me sitting in the office whole day. Ish, this is not that is not SK. So hence I went to geography because I wanted to travel, you know. I wanted to explore things. I was like, I wanna be in an office for like an hour or 2 hours and then be with the nature. How like be outdoors. That's what I was looking for. while growing up. But it turns out that life has its own plans for me. So, so like, okay, geology is not coming true, but then I also have the skill and I'm still passionate with me in the tech space. So I was like, okay, here's an opportunity. Let me go now and study information technology, you know. So this is when I was like, okay, now this thing, some people will say it's a calling, you know. But yes, yes. Starting bit by bit, it does help in gaining confidence. Then from there, you'll be able to identify if you do belong in a tech industry. But everyone belongs in a tech industry. The fact that we all have cell phones, we belong in a tech industry. So, so it's about understanding where are your strong points, but a willing to learn mindset. It's what will drive people to success.
Okay, I'm just thinking. I mean, the for our audience members, you heard it here first, guys. Everyone belongs in the tech industry. So, the I wanted to ask another question about how you got into tech. What kind of swayed you really? And it's like what aspects of community involvement like influence your decision to pursue a career in tech? I mean, besides like kind of having a knack for it, like how do you see this field as a way to create meaningful change?
Firstly, in my area, we had issues when it comes to like having internet cafes. So basically, me going to tech, I wanted to have an internet cafe. I think I have like three different ideas that were written down how my internet cafe is going to look like and so on and so on because I could see schools around the area when you need to photocopy a paper, you need to go far, people when they need to write CVs, you need to travel, it's either you go to near the shopping center, then go to a metro station, there's an area in where we call Newlands Zola, forgetting the name of the internet cafe. So people will travel far this side, just to get a photocopy of your ID, if you need to print out an assignment. I was still in high school at that time, and you're seeing like university student as well struggling, remember at that time, not many of us had access to laptops and computers, so people will have to go to internet cafes just to type in their assignment. So that's what made me to like, no, I'm tapping into this space, because this was my initial goal. I want to have an internet cafe. But then, while tapping into tech space and looking to establish that, I didn't recognize that tech space is growing. So if I'm gonna stick by having internet cafes, but my idea was not just an internet cafe just to photocopy to print, an actual internet cafe, you know, have free Wi-Fi, have like, if you are saying you're going to an internet cafe, there needs to be a cafe, not just you utilizing computers, being connected to internet and so on. So I had that goal to have a space where you'll also have your gaming section as well, because gaming it's another way of introducing, especially the young ones, understanding how does tech industry work, So I had that idea, hence I tapped into the tech space, but ended up my love for gaming like was shifted. I was like, ish. For me, I had to look at it the other way. I'm like, ish, let me pause when it comes to games and not just heads. I don't have any games in my devices. I don't play games in my devices. Even Pac-Man, I don't have Pac-Man in my devices. So I looked in it from an angle of a business side of things. Now developing solutions, what can be done for our community as well. So I looked at it in that way, but the shift, it was me looking at my community with the lack of technology devices, people suffering in order for them. Like imagine you are being called, so you need to come for an interview tomorrow, and already it's 3 to 4 o'clock. You don't have anywhere to photocopy your ID. You don't have anywhere to do your CV. You know, people need to travel miles for them to be able to get those things. So this is where I was like, "Ish." Even like my brother, as I'm telling you, I think they're like three different ideas from from your foundation phase. You know how everything was played accordingly, even with the budget. Because I remember the first one was 76,000. Calculated everything, how many computers going to have, how many printers going to have. You know, everything's structured down in paper. So this is where I developed mostly, or this is where my shift became to dive deep into the tech industry by looking at my community suffering in that manner.
From my own side, I also kind of became familiar with I'd say computers and like other related technology by gaming, you know, like was a bit more fortunate growing up. Like we had a I'd say we had a computer at home. I mean, wasn't great. It was really slow, but I mean, thinking back now, it was slow, but back then you didn't know anything better, you know. So you wait like for 5 minutes for something to load, and you know it's fine because you know these you don't know how fast things are supposed to be. But you know, played like computer games like Solitaire and you know that old school pinball and those types of things. So it's the I mean, listening to your story, it like takes me back a bit and also makes me realize the value of those like I mean those playing games. I mean at the time it was just you doing it for fun, but like thinking back it gave me like kind of like you said, gave me a chance to like build confidence using the technology, you know. But for someone looking to break into the tech field, like what foundational skills should they prioritize learning? I mean, like we know playing games is like I mean it's nice to build confidence and maybe get the lay of the land of how a computer works, but like what would you say they should know that can take them further?
So, firstly, it will be the basic digital literacy. That will that will be the foundation. You don't have to call SK if your laptop shuts down. Research, right? Just go to YouTube. You know, just go to YouTube and find everything there. So, firstly, is understanding and having the basic digital literacy skill. It's a skill because it needs practice. You need to familiarize yourself with that. So, skill is required, and then once you once you get to understand the basics, now you can now continue to go forward now and say, okay, I know the basics now, right? The basics will determine or will drive you to which direction you need to take. You know, then this is where you now go and look at the umbrella of tech industry and find uh, your journey within the tech industry because it's big. Now you need to find, okay, I'm strong at this point. Now I can now start to also learn going towards my journey. And also coming back into what exactly are you looking to achieve at the end of the day as a human being? What are you looking for? So within a tech space, you'll be able to find your end goal. But first understanding, okay, as SK, I want to establish maybe a big company, big business and what. So whatever I'm doing within the tech space needs to align to what my end goal is, right? If you're saying I want to serve the community with doing one, two, three, and four within the tech space, I want to limit criminals. I want to limit people who are doing what is not God's way. You know, now you tap into cyber security space. Like I'm gonna fight the hackers. You know, I want to bring the tech industry at ease, at peace. You know, so you know what you are passionate about. Within the tech space, I can assure you, you'd be able to identify or to find your passion. So, but this will also comes back in you understanding the basics first. Once you got the basics correctly, then you'll be able to identify your passion within the tech space and you'll take your journey to your end goal. So I think That will be my view on what people can do in order for them to find themselves tapping into the tech space. And mostly, people need not to be afraid. People are afraid when you talk big words when it comes to the tech industry. Hence, I always try and make sure that I don't put big words. People even talk about your cybersecurity when you're mentioning what is your machine learning. You talk about algorithms, talk about coding and not that. People will find these big words like, H. Now, what is JavaScript? What is Python? People will like, hey, now we are taking us to the bushes now. People will get afraid because of what they see on social media. That's another thing. What people find on the internet, people get afraid in them saying, "I'm gonna tap into the space." So those are one of the things that people need to get rid of to be afraid. Let's not be afraid. Let's just open our mind to learn and get the basics right.
I'm thinking about it now is that the I suppose the basics is kind of required for most jobs because I mean if you think of I mean unless you're doing some physical labor outside or maybe something practical with your hands like most jobs you're gonna be needing to be on a computer, right? So I mean the basic computer literacy is almost a requirement for things unless you like building or doing carpentry or plumbing or physiotherapy, I mean, maybe with some of those you need to be able to use a computer as well. So I guess it's quite interesting because like the it kind of goes back to what you said, like in a few years, I suppose like everyone's gonna be in the tech industry in some way or another. My next question, I mean, it kind of goes back to what kind of goes back to your whole internet cafe idea that you had, and it's like how can we ensure that people's like less fortunate or less tech savvy, how can they benefit from technological advancements, especially when their access to these advancements is limited.
Okay, so what's usually happened, you'll find that you have people that are creative thinkers. You'll find that there are people with skills, but because they don't understand or they are not being exposed into what will enhance their skills. Now, that comes as a disadvantage to them. And then you'll find there are people that will be exposed to such things, but they don't realize there's those devices or whatever they have is there to enhance their abilities, right? So it's a good thing what is going on at the moment with government trying to introduce your coding and robotics to schools from early as your grade one to upwards, right? Because now what then says everyone now will be equal in them understanding how is the real world is moving to what direction exactly. So it comes a disadvantage for SK to be not be able to utilize tech devices the way I would want to, right? So it is a disadvantage, but also even if now we are being exposed to such, do you understand what is required of you? How to utilize those devices or how to utilize those services accordingly, following the right procedure. Because if someone will say, hey, hey, we are in the tech space, hey, software dev, now let's go and hack a bank. Come on, let's go and hack a bank. You know, do you think these big banks they don't take security measures for them to be having people's money and so on? So there's another thing that happens to people that doesn't have access or doesn't understand what is within the tech space. What are these devices for? How can you use them accordingly and correctly? It's the lack of understanding and the lack of knowledge to our people in them understanding. If you are in this space, this is what you can do following the right procedure and the right practice, you know. So I think I'm gonna put it in that way. It's unfortunate that you'll find that we are not equal with access to certain things, uh, like in life in general. We do like this is what government I think is trying to work on. That's what most foundations are trying to preach and trying to bridge those gaps, you know. So I think I'll put it in that way. Uh, I hope I've answered correctly. If not, I'll try and elaborate more.
I think you gave I'd say a different perspective, at least to me, because like what I understand from what you said is that if we target accessibility, then I think that will be the biggest bridge for the gap. Because I mean, like you said, there's lots of people who's skilled, right? And they will probably come up with solutions until, for the next 1,000 years or however long we're on the planet, but the if those solutions, if only 10% or half the population see those solutions, I mean, the other half of the population, they're still going to be behind. So, I mean, what I take from what you said is that accessibility is the main thing we should be focusing on. And I suppose, I mean, I think government can probably do that better than most people. Because I mean, like if you do it from a business perspective, there's always a profit like incentive, right? That's kind of gonna dictate how far you can go with making things accessible. Like let's say an internet cafe. Like if nobody uses it, well, I mean, like you're gonna have to close down eventually. But I mean, perhaps government has an easier way to kind of manage that problem. As do I understand what you said correctly?
Yeah, no, true, true. So yes, basically, it's more of having a accessibility to such, you know, because I think what hinders growth is accessibility to certain things, you know. So I think you've also like said it correctly that government is the one that will be able to assist better in the space because SK will look for profit. You know, if there's no profit, there's nothing more that SK can do. You know, but also I think emphasizing and preaching the correct principles. If there's access, yes, you'd get access, but what are the principles of utilizing tools correctly accordingly? Because sometimes we'll always go and cry to government, but sometimes we'll end up not appreciating what government is trying, you know. And I think one of the conversation we had with one of my sister yesterday was within the tech spaces where like, yes, we always cry to government. You see, government maybe is not doing enough, but when government try to make sure that everyone is equal, we are government at the end of the day. Me and you, we are government. If there's no us, there's no government. What is it that we do to make sure that we meet government halfway without us getting into politics? Because I think and believe if we're gonna focus more into politics, we're not gonna go anywhere. And what I like the most about people in the tech industry, especially innovators, they will do innovation, they will come up with solutions, regardless if there are funds, there sponsors for it. They will continue to work on their solution or into their innovative solutions. And the only hint they will be getting is to the market with now having no funds to take your product to the market. But products are there, you know. So I think accessibility will be the key in us being upskilled within the tech space.
I think the what you also mentioned, the principles is also something that I mean we can't neglect it because the I mean it's like you said, the I mean if you just get the skill and there's no principle, I mean, yeah, you will probably think hacking a bank is a good idea. Or I mean, maybe not even a bank, maybe people, I mean, because I'm assuming you have that level of skill, you will know okay, a bank probably has some cybersecurity measures put in place. Why don't we try and hack, just someone with a general computer, they don't know too much about security or whatever, or scam them. So I think the principles, it goes in line with the accessibility. You know what it makes me think of, the that Spider-Man quote with great power comes great responsibility. So so yeah, I don't know if you watch Marvel movies, but yeah. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna come back to the point where I said people when they get to internet, they'll be like, oh yeah, this is easy. They'll see SK, no, yeah, this is easy. You're like, no, it requires principles for you to be able to achieve that. Yeah, so let's not be fooled, or let's not take whatever we see on the on the socials, on the internet, especially when it comes to movies. Unless they say based on a true story. Now go and get a book and read that book first, and then you can come back and see if it does make sense, if it's based on a true story.
I'm just thinking the based on a true story thing that the thing that worries me about that is if it's a horror movie and they say based on a true story. Oh, yo, nah. I think that's when I'm done with this movie now. Especially if they do it before the movie, I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not watching this. But but yeah, so the bringing it back to our whole tech conversation, the like specializing in tech, like I mean, it can take years, like with you. I mean, you started out in high school. I'd say, I mean, you didn't have like a set curriculum that you followed, but you were kind of learning the whole way through, you know. And I mean, it takes years. So like, how can someone determine when they have enough expertise to launch like their first tech project or start a business or apply for a job? Like, how do they know? Like, okay, I know this, I know this, I know this. Now I can sell my skills, or I can solve a problem, or I can do something. Like, what's that point?
Okay, so for me, what I've done, and even now, I always say I'm very bad when it comes to pricing and doing everything, and then like, okay, I need to invoice you now, you know. So I'll try and let my deliverables, my capabilities to speak for themselves. So starting up, okay, this guy can be able to install Windows. Like after that, we are done. There's go and come back to him. You know, it's building the credibility to your client. If you come to me like, okay, SK, can you do this for me? I'm like, I haven't done this thing before, but if you allow me to try it, now let me do it, right? And if it passes, we are in agreement. Okay, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know. So by me doing that, it's the matter of trying to make sure that one understand the skills that I can be able to deliver in certain things, right? So how do you test your skill set? It by you doing it over and over again, right? So you'll come to me, SK, I need the application, I need the certain website, so the like the basics, you know. I'll do that for you, and then I'll say, hey, I haven't done it this way, but if you are looking to have it this way, now let's try it. Applying my skill set into a project, you know. If it works, now I've gaining a confidence. But while gaining a confidence, profiling my work at the same time. Because I didn't know how to do this, but then I was able to do it, you know. So this is where now you know, oh, by me challenging myself as well to certain things that are outside maybe of my skill set. Because I can assure you, not every developer or has done almost everything. We learn as we go. That's the main thing. You learn especially when you write code. When you write code, sometimes it'll be like, Aish, now where is this coming from? You know, and then you go and do a research, and then you apply. Oh, now it's working. And when you go back to a project that's wrote like a year ago, 3 months ago, when you now browse through it, through your code, and then you look at like, Aish, was it me who wrote this thing? Ah, yeah. This thing was too easy. Why I had to do all these things, you know? So it's doing it now and again. That will give you the confidence and also applying certain skills that you even didn't know that you had. But trying once, and so on and so on, you'll be able to identify, no, and now I'm going into the right direction. So it's about practice. It's about the correct practice at the end of the day.
The thing about the coding that is that's real because at the moment I'm kind of well not at this moment I mean at the moment we're talking but the in my spare time I'm learning JavaScript so it's that's a real thing it's like during because I'm busy during your project you're like yo what is going on here and then it's it's research and then you go look at something you did a while back it's like yo this guy from 6 months ago, he's an idiot. Like, what is this? This makes no sense. but but yeah, the
Yeah.
what were you gonna say?
So just to add on, so here's another thing. You write code, uh, and you're like, ish, yeah, nah, I've had enough. You'd go out and get some fresh air. And then you come back, I was like, I was supposed to just eliminate the space, and we're stuck for like 30 minutes or so. Especially like from a beginner, like a level of beginner phase, you'll be stuck and like, ish, now, I'm done with this thing. And now it's even worse because now there's AI. There's another space now. There's a whole different environment as well. You know, that is challenging, but how to understand AI is also going to make sure that you'll be upskilled accordingly, but following the principles. Because when you're touching AI now, I know people will be like, hey, this thing, AI. But yeah, us as developers, we utilize AI. Then I can assure you.
No, I mean it's the same for me. The only thing that I'd say I'm worried about with myself, but I think that's for now while I'm learning is that sometimes it makes me a bit lazy. Like let's say I'm stuck on a problem for 30 minutes. I'm like, yo, I wonder if I should try and find the answer, if I should ask AI, and it just I feel like it makes me a bit lazy. So that's I mean from a learner's perspective, I'll say that's something to watch out for because I mean I catch myself in that trap like quite often.
No, that is true. So I usually advocate in like in AI. There's a slot I have on Highway Radio from Go Digital where I talk about AI, ACAS, and the Makai. Equipping people from the township, from the rural areas. How can they utilize AI to better themselves and also to upskill themselves as well for business purposes, students, and so on and so on. But I always say AI is there to enhance your abilities. Remember, if you're within the tech space, skill will be required, not a paper that you say, I have this. It's going to be a skill. Hence, in the tech space, there are technical interviews, you know. So it's understanding when to use AI, where do you like now? I cannot use AI. So you need to understand where to use AI. Because from me, if I know what I want to do and how I'm going to do it, then I can refer to my friend AI. But what have I done first before I go and refer to AI? Do it first, understand what we are doing, and also understanding where is the problem. If you understand this is the problem, this is where the problem is, but I cannot do it. I understand I'm supposed to do it like this, but I cannot I cannot do it anymore. Then you can go and refer to AI. But after you've done that as well, also understand if AI was not there, which steps were you supposed to take in order for you to be able to solve your problem. You know, AI is like a dictionary. Go and refer, understand. And what I love the most about AI is I'm referring to a dictionary. In a dictionary, you look for a word, and once you are reading the definition of that word, there'll be another word that you need to go and research on as well. So same thing that it does. So now, if you are serious enough, now that will require you to like go on and on and read and read and read and read. So yeah, let's utilize AI accordingly. Principles. Remember, we always come back and stick to principles, what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, no, definitely something I need to keep note of. But I mean, I don't want to turn this into a whole episode of us talking about our coding experiences. But whenever I get like a code snippet from AI, I always try to understand what is happening, and if it's at my if it's at my level of what I would be able to do on my own. Like if it looks too complicated, I'm like, I'm just gonna leave this because I know on my own I wouldn't have been able to come up with a solution, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, I suppose there's still a long way to go, but yeah, I mean that's a conversation for another time. Maybe I find you at hackathon if I'm ever in Durban. But yeah, and then I think you'll see tears early into the event. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
No, no, I was going to emphasize and saying if you see tears, they come from passion. If you are passionate enough, yeah, people will have tears. If people are just doing it just for the sake of doing it, uh, you won't see any tears coming out.
Oh, no, I mean, for me, I think it will be tears of struggle because, it's been tough. Learning programming is not easy in my opinion. But the actually going back to the hackathon and like just your mentorship, like how do you see the role of mentorship in helping newcomers break into the tech field? Like what advice do you give someone who's seeking a mentor?
So, like being a mentor, it's a challenge as well. It's also a challenge, and somehow it tests your capabilities of what you'll preach. But what I love the most, what I like the most in mentoring people who align to what you are also like talking about, because you'll find that mentoring can be easy but can be challenging. Why? You'll find someone giving you something that you haven't even heard of before. So now you need to quickly tap into that person's idea. And after you've tapped into the idea, you need to understand what's his or her problem statement. And then from there, quickly you need to like your mind needs to be sharp to understand, okay, this person relies on me to give guidance, a proper one, right? And I always say to whoever I'll give mentorship to, as I also have mentors myself as well, take what you see works best for you, because my experience won't be the same with your experience, because I will set up my alarm to wake up, and then it would say 4 hours. Now I need to wake up. And then when I will set up your alarm and say like 8 hours, 9 hours for you to wake up. So now there is a difference between me and yourself, that I have enough time to get into whatever I want to get to. I have enough time to get my life in order, because I'll sacrifice my time. And then you'll find that SK is a hard worker, but on your side, you are just that person who is a creative thinker who catches everything very fast. So now take what will work best for you at that time. And to mentor someone, it's not easy, because there are questions, and I can guarantee you there is no mentor who has all the answers. You cannot have all the answers. That's a reality. So how do you then now come about and saying, okay, since now we are looking at this issue, how can we come about? That's how mentorship should be. How can we come about? Relate to your mentee, not just say, SK will do one, two, three, and four. If that's one, two, three, and four doesn't work, then I haven't done justice to the mentee, you know. Now let you tap into the problem statement of your mentee and be together in the problem statement and try to come up with a solution. So basically, it's about opening the mindset, have a conversation, build a conversation from scratch so that it will align, understand exactly where does this person comes from, what's her or his end goal, you know. Once you tap into her space or his space, then you'll be able to give a proper guidance, you know, and then let that person to explore your suggestion or your proposals, you know, let that person to explore and then the person will come back. Because if you say or you want to do it for that person, you're not doing justice. And also you will try to do it and then you'll fail. Automatically you have failed the role of being a mentor. It's just for you to give a proper guidance and understanding what is the end goal. So hence it's important to always try and align yourself, understand your mentee first. Like I remember on Saturday there was this group. There were like four gents and the one lady, right? So I think it was around about it was 3:30 going to 4 o'clock. I've been mentoring them, so they're like, okay, guys, let's go and get some fresh air. We went outside because we were hosted at BCX in Pretoria. So we went outside, we sat down, and like, okay, guys, how are you feeling? I'm not talking about the solution you are developing. How are you feeling? How is the environment? You know, I like we had a chit chat, and I was like, okay, guys, now we only have a few hours left. Where are we with our solution? You know, and then we identify where they lacked. You know, and I was like, okay, because I wanted to understand each individual. This is your strong point, and this is where we are lacking, right? And then from there, we're like, okay, guys, now let's go back to the drawing board, let's structure accordingly. You are going to focus on doing this, right? We are going to focus on doing this. We are doing a research. We are now going to be the head of the tech department. We're going to push our code. You'll push your code. You'll do it. You deal with the merge conflicts in your program. We are going to now do a sort out your presentation. We are doing it and so on. So work was being dedicated among themselves. And then I told them, I know you guys are tired. I know there's pressure, but you don't have any option now but to go and finish off your project. You only have like less than now, like 6 hours of finishing off of a project because you need to submit by 9 o'clock, right? Can you do that for me? Then they went on, they finished off their project. I remember this lady keeps on coming me, okay, SK, now I've done one, two, three, and four. And then I didn't do anything for them. I was guiding them, okay, you've got this. Okay, now the possible questions will come out will be one, two, three. Then she went back. Like every 15 minutes, she kept on coming back. And guess what? From 72 teams, they made it to the top 10. Even like they're like, hey, like, no, I didn't do anything. I was just there to motivate you. Basically, being a mentor is there to motivate someone's skill set, someone's ability to a positive change. It's just giving what you have to give as to give a guide and also to make sure that you it's just you being a motivational speaker. You know, that's how mentorship should be because you cannot mentor someone who doesn't want to be who doesn't want your mentorship. That's another reality. You cannot mentor everyone. And I mean, I'll give the tough laugh because there are guys like, hey, I know. Okay, if you know, then it's fine. You know, but we'll see how how is your solution will unfold. You know, so yeah, mentorship is about giving positive feedback and giving a proper guide to your mentee.
I think that's I think that's some good perspective because I think maybe people have the idea that a mentor kind of provides them with the answer or the solution. But based on what you're saying, it's like you're more just opening up their perspective so they can find the answer or solution on their own. And I mean, obviously that's I'd say that's worth a lot more because I mean, I mean, you just give someone, if you hand something out, it's they don't really grow from that. They just I mean, what's that saying of the something about teach a man to fish and you give a man a fish versus teach a man to fish. There's a saying somewhere in there, but yeah, I mean, you get what I'm saying. So it's I mean, I think that does definitely provide a lot more value. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Because now the reality will be not all mentors are going to be there for you all the way through. You know, I can be a mentor for an hour, I can be a mentor for a year, I can be a mentor for a month, you know. So this is why it's important if you are mentoring someone, doesn't have to belong to you. It needs to belong to them. They need to take ownership. You know, my mentor, like Mr. Mahlabu, will always like make sure that I understand what is required of me, not what he thinks is required of me to be able to deliver. You'll try and make sure that you'll ask, SK, do you understand? Once I say, yes, I understand, now it's on me. And you'll tell me, ask if you don't understand. We'll build projects, we'll build concept notes. He was like, okay, this is a concept note I've built. Can you go through it and read it and tell me if you understand anything? I'll write a concept note and share with him. He will ask me, do you understand it? I haven't read what you've shared with me. Talk to me. What is it about? Then I'll have to take him through, right? And then if there are loopholes, because it's easy if someone like tell you a story, you'll be able to identify where the loopholes are. That's a duty of a mentor. Understanding where the loopholes are, how that person can be able to fill in the gaps. How does he view those gaps? Does he understand if there are gaps? Because if you don't understand if there are gaps, this is another issue as well. Now make the person understand these are the loopholes. Hence, on the hackathons, most mostly what mentors do, as I've said before, it's driving the innovative solution in a business perspective. Mostly in most cases, because we won't write code for you. We'll tell you it's okay. Firstly, just write unit test, and then you'll be able to identify where your project is going wrong. Have your code seen to check your code health. Just set up the basics first for every project. If you can be able to set up the basic first, it becomes easy for you to complete. So hence I always tell people that we don't care about you writing code. We know the fact that you are here, you are able to write code. I was so amazed. There was this young lady who didn't know how to to set up tables. So he learned PHP on the spot. He was able to accomplish. He wrote tables, make sure that the back end like connects to the front end on like having those PHP. I don't know, like, but for your solution, you need to know how to write PHP, you know. Then she was able to do so, you know. I was so amazed, like, yes, this was required because this is a gap that you need to fill. If you are saying you don't know how to fill this gap, we made her understand there's no other way but for her to be able to do this. If she can't, then she knows she's not going to be able to complete her task. But she ended up doing it, you know. So a willingness to learn mindset, understanding what does your mentee need, not what do you think or what you need as a mentor. Same thing applies to as a mentee. What am I required of to do or to deliver? Not what my mentor's perspective from my deliverables, you know. So I think I'll put it in that way.
I mean, yeah, I think that's really does put it into perspective. And I think for people looking for a mentor or someone to just help guide them, I think they'll like our audience, they'll know what is expected of them and what they can expect from a mentor as well. Because I mean, if you're just gonna get answers or need someone who's more skilled than you, I mean, I guess you can just ask like ChatGPT, because I mean they will probably have more answers and be more skilled. So yeah, but I want to change. I want to change gears to ask you some questions related to education. And I think this is maybe a bit more in line with your current role. And my first one is like, what are the key benefits of integrating technology into education? I mean, like, would you say we've pretty much outgrown like books and blackboards?
So when it comes to education space, the old way of teaching and learning uh, had lots of disadvantaged or a lot of hinders when it comes to the high higher education. Let me put it this way: with higher education, there are a lot of hinders. So with introduction of technology in education, the benefits is with higher education, right? Because I want us to divide the two. And then when you go to lower level of education, still the olden days of teaching and learning for me does work. Now it's the matter of how do we then now introduce technology to lower education level. Why I'm saying that? Because now to expose learners from lower grades to technology and not making sure that they follow principles. Because now you'll find people with advocates in saying they're just going to introduce kids and not try to technology. But then again, without proper principles, we're gonna crash our generation, right? It's better to those ones who are already in higher education to throw them into the deep end in understanding technology and introducing them and challenging them to go beyond to go beyond their thinking. You know, for them, they are familiar now with understanding what education means for their life. So they will be forced to upskill themselves. They will be forced to make sure that they tap into the tech space, either they like it or not. But going to the lower education, how do we drive and make sure that those learners are being introduced accordingly? You know, so being introduced to the tech space in overall, it's a it's a good thing. Why? Because this will mean we are going to grow very fast as a country. We are going to be developed individually, skill sets. People will gain more skill sets. People will now be able to maneuver around doing a lot of things at once because now they are there in the tech space. They understand what is required of them. People will be able to go out of their comfort zone in a good way, though, where they'll be able to now grow their businesses, where people will be able to build legacies. That's another important thing. People now are able to build legacies because now they understand technology. They are able to utilize technology in them upskilling themselves. So I think I'm going to put this perspective when it comes to education because one of the initiative that we have from Go Digital side is whereby we have a platform that we call a Itala Edu platform, whereby grade 11 and 12 learners, they are able to just go to the Mobi app and find, revise past papers, recording sessions, live sessions, So now what we are saying to those high schoolers, they need to utilize technology in order for them to be able to understand that education is not just you being in class with a teacher alone. you are able to utilize technology to upskill yourself. There is your basic of coding and robotics. There's a wellness center. It's another important thing. Set a mindset for everyone that you're introducing into the technological space. Hence, I'm saying if there is no good practice in introducing technology to the young ones, we are going to crash them. So proper guidance and a proper introduction to the learners at an early age is what is required. Or my view, yeah, that would be my that would be my view. Because I know people will be like, but others they were begging to choose what. No, yes, it's a reality, but good practice because it can be overwhelming. I must say, it can be overwhelming, understanding tech space. Now we are saying SK, who never used a computer before coming to universities. Now I need to use a computer now. But I was not aware on how to use a computer from my grade 6 and 7 and so on. Now we are challenging me in the space. So you need to create a wellness for those people to understand why are we moving to this direction. I think we need to emphasize on more why do we have to move in this direction as a country.
I think that that why, along with the principles, is I think it's a key idea because it's I mean if you introduce it, my thinking is at least like if you introduce it and it's kind of it's unfiltered, it's unregulated, kind of like if you give a iPad or a tablet or something to a child, yes, they will become familiar fast with what to do, but I mean the concentration span will drop or it will be short. They won't be able to focus on things for too long. It's yeah, if it's unregulated, it can go downhill very fast. So I think you touched on an interesting point with that for sure.
Yeah, because like we'll see like other kids, like and those who are privileged enough being introduced to smart devices at an early age. They don't understand people like SK who was only introduced like for example in devices from a university level, right? And now when those two people meet, like you'll see it's okay. There's a glitch now. How do you then prepare the one who's underprivileged and the one who's privileged to understand why this one doesn't understand? Because another issue, like personally, I ended up going to therapy, right? I didn't mention this. So so I lost a child in 20 just before COVID, you know, and before that I lost my father. So within a space of a year, I lost my father, I lost my son, right? So when you come to SK, like, hey, I've lost a father, I've lost my mother, I've lost my cousin, or what. SK at that time was like, "Ah, this one is crying for nothing. So because my mind and my heart at that time it was shut down with emotional feelings, you know, especially if we don't have that personal relationship with SK, and then will come to me crying, like I couldn't understand. And I discovered that I think after a year, like people that will come to me for me to comfort them, you know. But I'm not doing justice because I'm still stuck with that heart that is so off of my loss, right? So I ended up attending a therapy, you know. Why I was doing that? Because I could see, no, there's something wrong, right? Because you'll have a lot of people coming to you because they see you doing great things. Friends will rely on you and so on. But then when you are not there for them, you know. So I think setting a correct mindset, you know, making people understand that we are not equal. That's a reality. Whatever we take in, it won't be the same as SK will take in as for anyone else will also be able to take in. So whatever we absorb, we are not going to absorb it like in a same level. you know. So it's about understanding and preparing our generation to understand why are we in this space? How come, as South Africa, as Durbanites, as people from other provinces as well, to be in this phase, you know, where we'll find that we are not equal, you know. So I think that's a challenge I'll pose to our government to make sure that us as a country we understand why we are not equal and what can be done for us to be in the same WhatsApp group, they will say, you know. So yeah, I think I'm just to add on that one.
So, I mean, first I want to say, sorry about your son. I mean, I mean, it's a tough experience to go through, and I mean, yeah, I mean, there's nothing, I think, nothing anyone can say or really do that kind of changes or takes that away. But the I do think it's very admirable, shows strength that you kind of manage to pull through and carry on despite experiencing something so intense. Because I mean, like you said, you went to therapy. I mean, a lot of people can kind of they can kind of get stuck in that feeling. I mean, it's that I wouldn't say it's a bad thing to get stuck, but sometimes people can't get over things because it's just too much. So I think shows a lot of character and strength from your side. I mean, hopefully nothing similar happens in future. Hopefully it's all uphill from here. But but yeah, sorry that's the took me on other train of thought there.
Yeah, so you know, usually when I talk to people, I'll always mention that, especially when I'm doing my trainings and presentations. I'll introduce myself, then I'm like, okay, my name is Pio Kozwayo, SK. Then people will assume, okay, SK stands for Spio Kozwayo. No. So my friends named me SK after I lost my son because my son's name it was Kai. It's a Sotho name, means happiness. You know, say like, we are going to name you SK because they were calling him SK Junior, you know. So like, now you're going to be SK. So why I mention that because people sometimes they do decision according to their emotions and how do they feel, and especially I'll say developers, innovators, you know. Hence, I'll go back and saying whatever you do or you develop as SK is not your solution. It's for people to utilize your solution. So remove your emotions from an innovation, then you'll win as a person.
Okay, well, I mean that I think being in a dark room alone definitely helps with creating that whole so the whole state of mind where you can remove your emotions. Because I mean it's just you and the computer, for how many 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours straight, so yeah. But I mean I don't wanna linger on that for too long because I think I made myself a bit sad. But the just thinking about it. But the let me move on to my next question, which is that before you guys decide to pursue a new idea for the benefit of education or teaching people, like what's the first concern that you feel you need to address?
So from myself personally, I grew up between a township area and the mini suburb area, right? So there is a gap in between, right? And when I went to UKZN, although we had a computer lab at school, which I wasn't a CAS learner, you know, but there were life science studies like biology, you know, but there was no lab for that. And I was introduced into a chemistry lab at UKZN. I needed to understand what are the pipettes, you know, how to mix chemicals and so on. I first needed to read and understand the instruments first before understanding what chemicals to be used and so on. So there was a huge gap, and language barrier as well does contribute a lot, you know. So how do you then now make sure that you bridge that educational gap, you know? So it's about seeing or identifying that there is a huge gap that is going on. Hence, I joined Go Digital, right? Because what they're advocating on is what I believe in, transforming our digital lifestyle and making sure we are bridging the educational gap by utilizing technological devices and technological learning tools, you know. So it's as simple as that, you know, because there is a gap, and you'll find SK being involved in different initiatives where they advocate in education, where they will be bridging a gap, you know. There's a dreams to Destin initiative. One of my friend like started earlier this year, where you go to high school and motivate the matriculants, you know, making them understand there's a world waiting for them out there. You'll find SK being involved in JCI because we are developing leaders for a changing world, you know. So you'll find SK being involved in different initiatives because of impactful change this is required in our community.
So, I mean, just correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm understanding is that there's no like set, I want to say, formula or thing that you look for really, but you try and identify, like, let's say, like maybe accessibility or ease of use. You're not going to create a solution that focuses on those things particularly, but you're gonna look for whatever the gap is. I mean, if the gap is ease of use or accessibility or whatever the case is, it will be that. But the looking for the gap, that's the key. That's the key thing, basically.
Definitely, definitely. It's identifying where the gap is and how do you fill in that gap. If it's accessibility, how do you bridge the accessibility gap? If it's language barrier, how do you bridge the language barrier, you know? And yeah, it's identifying where is the gap basically, and then how do you then now go on about bridging that gap, you know? At the moment, there are a lot of people identifying or establishing digital centers, right? But you'll find there are digital centers, but there's nothing going on in those digital centers. So that's another gap that we've just identified. There are a lot of digital centers being established, but there's a gap that there are no programs running in those digital centers. So now we're in a process. How do we then bridge that gap? Yes, we have a digital center. How are we going to make sure that in that digital center there is programs that are going in and out, you know? So identifying the gaps and how to bridge those gaps.
Okay. Yeah, I think that does I think that helps maybe give some perspective, especially for people maybe trying to create a solution, but marry it to their business idea or to solve a problem and see what if there's a profit incentive that's viable for that solution. I mean, I have one more question for you, and this is it's maybe a bit different to everything else we've been talking about, but this is I think it actually it circles back to our whole conversation on being a mentor and like motivating others. So my question is what quote or mantra or saying like inspires you to push through your challenges, whether it's in work, in fitness, or in life in general?
Well, so I don't remember where did I get this saying, but I always say, but I think it's because how my journey has been, having the downfalls, uh, needed to get up, keep on pushing, you know. So I ended up finding myself that realizing that life is not a race, but it's a journey. Why a journey? Because journey will have its ups and downs. But if you are doing a 10 kilometer race, when that 10 kilometer ends, there's you're done. There's nothing else up until maybe you are able to qualify again to be able to run this race. But if you are in Olympics, there's only 2025 Olympics. There won't be another 2025 Olympics. There won't be another 2024 Olympics. But if you're taking life as a race, or even at work, anyway, once a race is a competition. I always say I hate competitions, because once you are say I'm racing, which means you are competing. And if there's no competition, which means there is no you. But if you take life as saying, no, I'm going to walk this journey, either it's gonna be good to me or not, but I'm gonna appreciate and walk this journey of life up until God decide otherwise with my life or your life. So I think it's a matter of respecting life as a whole and understanding that the world that we live in is too big for one. Hence, we'll always need to walk a journey. And in that journey, who do you bring along? That's another important thing. Who do you bring along in your journey? And understanding that in that journey of life, people will come and go. People will come and they will go. And consistency is what's also required for you to be able to walk the journey of life. So, yeah, just life is not a race, but it's a journey.
I think that's I think it's very that saying's very particular to you because I mean the when I think about the journey, it's you don't know what's gonna happen necessarily. I mean, with a race, it's kind of they will set the starting point and the ending point, so like where you know what's kind of what to expect. But with a journey, it's I mean, it can have ups, it can have downs. It's lots of things can happen, and I mean, I think that saying kind of it sums up a lot of your experience, because I mean, you didn't necessarily know where you were going, but I mean, you ended up here now. I mean, studying geography, So I mean, now you're in the tech space. I mean, maybe in 20 years you back at geography, who knows? But yeah, So I think that saying sums it up nicely. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, because I remember I had a chat with one of my mentees from DUT yesterday. So then she was like, "Hey, like people now." So I was telling her because we need to have a session here. Like, please let me know in time so that I can put it in my calendar and log the time so that I can have that session, right? And there's an event that she's organizing as well. Like, it's been quite some time now. You haven't set a proper date, and then you'll come to me on last minute, and you'll find that my calendar will be closed at that time. And then she was like, and then there's this friend, like my circle now, when I'm telling them that, hey, I have a meeting, I need to close my calendar. Please, I need to schedule. If I don't answer your call, it's because I'm doing a presentation or what. So now they're like, ish, from them, they don't understand. I was like, yeah. So you see now, you didn't know that you're going to get that too busy in such a way that now you need to have a calendar where you need to schedule a meeting, and this time I'm not available. I'm only available this time. I can't take call at this time. So yeah, growing up, we didn't know this. I was like, hey, I'm gonna be this too busy. I'll be called Mr. Kuzwai. I'll be sent invites to come and be a speaker. There'll be a random person that will reach out on you on LinkedIn, like, hey, see the amazing work we are doing. Can you assist me in doing this and this? Those are the things that we didn't know we'd end up here. But as you are saying, maybe in 10 years' time, I'll be a geologist. We'll, we'll never know. So, yeah, as I didn't know I'll end up being a JCI deputy president for 2025. I didn't know I came into JCI just like I'm just coming in here to learn, you know. I didn't know I was going to be put in such a position. You know, I came in as like I'm just a training director, but ended up being put or being challenged to lead the organization, you know. So yeah, it's one of the things that we grew up not knowing we'd end up doing, but they are good for our growth and for our journey as well.
Yeah, and the other thing I like about that is that because it's unpredictable, I think that is what makes like the your life kind of full, you know? Because I mean, if you knew everything that was gonna happen today and tomorrow and next week and the next year, I mean, I think that would be a bit boring, you know? I mean, like maybe you have some good times to look forward to, but it's like I think the surprise of when something good happens, I think that makes it more, I don't want to say more special, but like it makes it a bit more exciting, you know. You don't know what's coming next, but you try to prepare, you try to be at your best all the time, you know. And then an opportunity comes your way, or you randomly meet someone, and you make a new connection, or whatever the case is, you know. So I think that's saying really, yeah, it's a I think it's a good way to see things. But but yeah, that about sums up our time together, Pee-wee. I mean, it's been excellent chatting to you and getting to know you a bit more. Um, I definitely think we should do this again, like in a few months' time after we accomplish some more things. Probably both of us. I mean, I'll be watching your space definitely. See what the presidency allows you to do. Um, but but yeah, like for our audience, for all your hosting needs, you can feel free to check out our website. We're also on Facebook and LinkedIn if you're into that kind of thing. You can also find Pee-wee online. We have all these details in the show notes. If you have any questions or topics that you'd like to hear about, you can feel free to reach out to us. Thanks for listening to Those African. Goodbye.